Hello and welcome to Orton No Better's In Off the VAR. I'm joined by Jimmy the ref. How you doing, Jimmy?
Not too bad, Cascom.
Good stuff. And we're going to be joined by our resident Statman, Andrew. How you doing, bud?
Very well, thank you. Good to see you as always, and a real honour to be part of this new way forward. So yes, very excited.
Absolutely brilliant. So today on the show we're going to be discussing David Coote's performance at Sunderland, Southampton at the weekend. And we'll get Jimmy's opinion on it. I have a few things that I'd like to maybe ask Jimmy about his decision making, and we'll discuss the Wolves game moving forward. And Stats is going to sort us out with a few bits and bobs, and then we'll go from there. All right. So we'll get you in a sec. Hello, and you're welcome to In Off the VAR. So, like I was saying, we're going to get straight into this. We had a bit of a tough game at the weekend. We've dissected it completely now at this stage. Jimmy, I'll get your opinion now in a second on that as well. But David Coote took charge of his 54th Premier League game. Was the referee who oversaw both defeats to Wolves. And the Whites lost to Spurs, and he took charge of our first victory in London in how long against Fulham, Stats?
It was the previous one started against QPR on December the 9th, 2000, and I want to say 17 under Thomas Christensen, when Keane Maroof got a hat trick. We forgot how to win in London back then. So long time. I think about 16, 17 games ago. But the monkey's not far back, and now I've got another one to come, haven't we, against Wolves on Saturday.
Jenny Mac, yeah. So Jimmy, I just what did you make of the referee at the weekend? Like I have a few opinions of him myself now, and I'll fire them out at you in a minute. But what was your opinion of him?
His overall performance wasn't bad. I didn't think he done anything really negative towards Leeds or either team. I thought his position and his fitness level and all that was good. His decision making and spot on. For me, I didn't find any issues in the game. Whatever issues was in that game was of Leeds United's own making. It was an horrendous performance. I think anyone that follows Leeds United would, stand up and say that it's easy to blame a referee when something like this happens. But in fairness to him, he didn't do anything negative that would have impacted on the way the game turned out.
That's a fair assessment. If you just want to sit a little closer to the laptop or whatever it is you're using, Jimmy, it's just you're quite faint at the moment, and just having a bit of trouble hearing you, bud.
Look, Carl, as I said, it's very easy, to criticise referees, and he wouldn't be one of my favourite referees. But in fairness to him, he did nothing wrong in the game. Leeds were victims of their own misfortune in it, really. What else can you say? The referee did what he had to do in the game. I mean, there was some cynical fouls created from both sides and that, and he had to deal with them. But other than that, I certainly wouldn't have rated him anything more than 8.5 or 9, something like that.
Right. Jimmy, I'm going to have to just cut you off just for a minute, mate, because I haven't fierce trouble hearing you there, and will you manage to get a hold of Barry there and see if he can sort it out, and we get you back on as soon as we can? Is that all right?
No problem.
I just rather people heard what you were saying, Jimmy, is all. Me and Stats can have a chat here for a minute anyway, okay? Stats, just until we get Jimmy back, I'll repeat it with Jimmy again when he comes back on, but I felt that there was a couple of inconsistencies with the referee's performance on Saturday. Now, I thought there was a lot of fouls that he gave towards Southampton that he didn't give to us in return. There's one particular one on Rodrigo now. It was around about the halfway line in the first half, and he wasn't told there was a man on. for starters, which is schoolboy error. But he got shoved in the back and the ball taken off him, and it's like they got a free kick then, not maybe 20 seconds later for pretty much the same foul. And again, we're banging on about consistency and referees, but like they bring it on themselves, really, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's frustrating. I think one thing I will start to say is that's not how we lost the game on Saturday for David Cook's performance. We lost the game because Southampton were better than us. Of course. And pure and simple. I think it's, as a supporter, it's having the consistency to blow up for the same fouls for each side. And it makes supporters go frustratingly mad because all you're asking for referees, and it's probably why they do get the stick that they get, is just if you're blowing up for one foul, blow up for the same foul for the same team. I know exactly which incident you're on with Rodrigo, and I think he looked surprised when the free kick was given against him. So it's frustrating. It is frustrating. As I said, that's not the reason we got beat on Saturday. I think every Leeds United fan will admit that we weren't quite the races on Saturday at St Mary's. But just going back to David Cook's performance, I'd probably give him a 6 out of 10. And I don't think he was spectacularly bad. I don't think he was spectacularly good. I don't think there was much in the game to really referee. I think Southampton could have possibly had a penalty in the first half from memory for a handball, but that was about it. And I can see Jimmy is now back with us.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Back live as well. And
no, there.
No. Move. Yeah, there you go, Jimmy. There you go. How are you getting on? That's the stuff. Thanks, Amy and Barry there in the background.
The daughter-in-law that done that.
Fair play to her. She got you out of an awful hole there now, Jimmy.
Indeed, yeah.
So, Jimmy, look, do you want to recap on what you were saying there just a little while ago before we had to sort it out?
Talking about the referee, David Coot, he did nothing negative that would have impacted on the ways the game turned out. As I said, his fitness level was sound, his decision-making, there was no issues with it. The cards that he used were warranted, and that I couldn't fault him for anything in the game. As I said, and I'm a true Leeds supporter. What happened in the game was Leeds' own misfortune. They just didn't turn up on the day. And at times it's very easy to blame referees. You can nitpick on particular issues and that. But certainly he had no impact on the way it turned out. I thought he, had a decent game. And as I said before, he wouldn't be one of my favourite referees. But certainly, I'll give him credit for what happened the weekend. I give him 8.5.
Yeah, that's a considerable. Himself and Stats were having a quick chat there while you were off, and well, like there was one incident I mentioned it there. I won't go too into it, but Rodrigo got fouled in the midfield where he got shoved in the back and the ball taken off him, and then Southampton went up the field and essentially got a free kick for the same thing a couple of seconds later. And I was saying that the refs sometimes they bring the battering on themselves due to the lack of consistency. And do you think is there any way to fix that?
Well, if you were watching the Liverpool game last night, and was it the second goal? Yeah, I think it was the second goal that was scored against Liverpool. Now I listened to Peter Walton today talking about it, and I always liked Peter Walton as a referee. I always thought he was a decent UEFA FIFA official. But his explanation as to why it shouldn't have been ruled for offside is just mind-boggling. It's the legislators that I blame, not the referees. They have introduced, a little bit more contact this season. Last season we didn't have it. We have it this season. You have to look at the penalty incidents that didn't go against Liverpool, and that was there enough contact to bring the player down? I don't think there was enough contact. I don't think VAR should have even looked at it. They should have given the referee instructions. We're not interested. Now, having said that, the referee doesn't have to take heed of VAR. VAR can instruct him that it was a penalty, but he can just say, no, I'm going with my original decision, not a penalty. But the thing you're on about, was there enough contact? I don't think there was.
Right.
I don't think Rodrigo, I think he went down a bit too cheaply. And that's one of the new criteria that the Premier League have set as regards to making it a little bit more contact on that. But I think Rodrigo just went down for the sake of going down. I don't think he was really bundled over.
Yeah, well, again, I'll always ask it from a fan's perspective because from obviously you're a fan as well, Jimmy, but you see these tackles happening and you're kind of like, surely that's a free kick. Anyway, but then you'll obviously set me straight like you always do. Like so,
it's not a question about setting that, but again, I refer back to what Peter Walton said last night, and he made a very valid point, I suppose. Van Basten is on the committee that helps, with regards tweaking the laws. Now, he just advises. There's one or two former professional players who just gives advice on it. But you go back to the glory days of Norman Hunter and Cooper and those brothers. I remember Johnny Giles in a conversation with him one night, and I was asking him about, the footballers of today, and I never forget, the way he looked at me, and he says, if Norman Hunter hit Ronaldo, he wouldn't be rolling around. So that's, I think the Premier League was right to change the laws a little bit with regards to contact and that. And contact sport. Look, yourself in our own national sport, Gaelic football. I mean, people have come off with broken jaws. He's hanging out.
That's it. Like,
and the response, it's all in the game.
Yeah. But I'm quite happy to see the little bit more contact allowed. Like, I think it took away from a lot of the aspects of the physical element of the sport, like, in
any field sport there's an element of physicality, and it's even cricket, a game I don't really understand. And that you can get your eye knocked out with the ball, and someone can throw a ball, and hop it off you, you're going up and down. So in 90% of field sports, there is that element of physicality. But because of the ways the laws were changed some years ago to more or less kill the game, it was kind of a ponds game, rather than, a game of football. And I was like, I remember it was after the 1958 Munich air disaster. There's a very, very famous photograph of Nat Lofthouse, former great Porter Wanderers player. Mm-hmm. Harry Gregg, one of the heroes of the Manchester United Munich disaster. And it was, I suppose in his time, it's a brilliant photography. The ball is coming across. Gregg is coming out to catch it. At the same time, Lofthouse is diving. Gregg catches the ball. Lofthouse puts ball and keeper into the back of the net. The goal stood. Now, the old law with regards to keepers, you could challenge a goalkeeper if he was off the ground, if he was going for a ball, his 2 feet was off the ground. Now you can't even breathe as you're passing him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like
that still exists with the keepers. They haven't changed that, and it's wrong. It's killing the game in many respects.
Yeah. Can I ask you, Jimmy? There's a very famous FA Cup final goal. I think it's Aston Villa Man United in the 50s, when I can't remember which player was. I think a Villa player goes up with a Man United keeper. I don't think you'd get away with that in those days, but the referees obviously back then were so much lenient compared to what we are now. I think even in the 50 Cup final with Stan Mortensen and Bill Perry and whatnot between Bolton and Blackpool, there are incidents that nowadays I think a lot of players are protected more than they have been down the years.
Yeah, they are protected a lot more. And if you go back in those days, there were very few injuries. Players were out for 3 or 4 months. A hamstring was something you heard about at Christmas, and that. Now every other day of the week you hear about a football and a hamstring. It's just crazy. You see, I seen watching the games last night in the Liverpool game. One of the Madrid players went down, and he was holding his hand up as if he was
big shot.
He was amputated. And he got no attention. He got up and. I mean, these are things that needs to be looked at and needs to be addressed, by FIFA and UEFA, because it's bringing the game into disrepute. And what should be done now? And I've seen it in fairness, actually, to the Premiership referees, they have clamped down a fair bit on Jack Grealish, and his antics. He's not getting away in the Premier League what he was getting away with last season. But a referee has to have the courage to take a red card out of his pocket and say, enough is enough. I'm not standing for this, and that would change the mindset of a lot of players.
Do you think has that had a knock-on effect on Dan James as well? Because I feel he should have had that penalty at home there. Who was it against? Was it Burnley at home or West Ham?
It was
the last home game.
Yeah,
Watford. Excuse me, Watford.
Yeah.
Where he got bundled over. Do you not?
I don't think that was a penalty.
Okay.
I don't think it was a penalty. You often hear the expression that, he played for it, and there is an element of that. And also referees are copping on. And the other thing about, like, a lot of people would know this, the referees actually, David Coote would have looked at, a video of the previous Leeds match. He would have studied some of the players on that. And it's referees talk. And they say, Carl Cafola, watch out for him. He's very niggly, elbowing, and all sorts of things. And word gets around. And that's why this season in particular, a lot of that has been stamped out, which is good for football. And maybe there is a little bit of inconsistency with regards to referees punishing, the same foul. But they will get it right as the season is going on. They will get it right. But for me, they haven't done anything really wrong yet with that new change.
Yeah. I'm happy enough with how they're using VAR now at the moment as well. It seems to be going a lot better than it did last year. There's been one or two, touch and go decisions this season, but nothing to the effect of last year.
Well, last night I think VAR was totally wrong. The second Madrid goal should have been ruled out. There was no argument, I don't think anyone, he was on the goal line.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't interfering with the goalkeeper. He wasn't in his line of vision, but he was preventing a defender from clearing the ball.
Right.
Now, Peter Walton got it totally wrong when he said that if the player had, the Liverpool defender, if he had made contact with the Madrid player that was on the line and brought him around, would have been a penalty. He wouldn't. It wouldn't have been a penalty. It would have been a free out because the original decision would have been that he was offside. So VAR is very inconsistent when it comes to checking on things. The penalty incident that didn't go against Liverpool, it should never have come to that. Referee was in a good position. The assistant referee was in a good position, and they should have spotted. And that's part of the problem with VAR. They're probably interfering a little bit too much in the game.
Yeah. I think they seem to be a little less involved kind of this season, and some people, you're hearing some people complain about it a little bit, but overall I think, obviously it's got the few decisions wrong, and I'd like it if one or two went in our favour for a change. But
but when I look back last Sunday, Harry Kane's decision without VAR's intervention in it, it certainly would have been ruled offside. You couldn't fault the assistant referee because it was so tight. But that's an issue that's going to be looked at again at the end of the season, is the offside, and it will be changed. They will refer back to the older system. I think if you're offside, you're offside, and it puts a stop to a goal being scored, and after the ball has gone in the net, the assistant busts the referee up. That creates confusion, and it's totally unfair, when something like that happens. But according to the reports that we're getting, is that we'll be having a serious look at it again this into the season.
Right. Okay. Well, hopefully I'd like to see the old rule return. If there's daylight, I'd just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Well,
for me anyway.
I don't know. The Statman would remember this incident.
It's like the one last year with Paddy scored at Palace and he got rolled offside for pointing. You can't score with your hands.
You can't score with your hand.
They've changed the rules, but some of the decisions last year, and I allude to what you've both said, that this season it's a lot better. He's certainly offside law, but there's still one or two that are very borderline. As Jimmy rightly says, and they had not VAR at St James's Park on Sunday. Hurricanes offside, and it's where to draw the lines. But I think it's improving. I'd like a decision to go Leeds' way, because I think we're not getting the rub of the green at the moment. I thought Cooper had a penalty against Everton.
Well, we don't.
Yeah.
I'm following Leeds a long time. I remember going back a lot of years ago, they played Wolverhampton, and if they had won it, that game they would have won the league. I think, if memory serves me right, even if they got a draw, they probably would have won it.
That's right.
But there was a player in an offside position. No, he wasn't interfering with play, Randy, but he was clearly in an offside position. He was something like 3 yards in an outside position. And the assistant actually put the flag up, but the referee flagged him down. Now, he brought this rule in that you're not interfering with play 40 years before.
Yeah.
You know, even UEFA brought it in. There was ructions after the game. I think Derby County were away on holidays because their season had finished and they actually won the title. I don't know whether you remember that or not.
It did. Leeds had actually won the FA Cup on the Saturday against Arsenal. It was in 72, and the FA, for some unknown reason, forced them to play at Wolverhampton Wanderers 2 days later. I think it was Derek Dugan that got 2 goals for Wolves off the top of my head, and obviously Bremner got one back for Leeds, and Leeds were denied the old-fashioned championship and the double. So, and also you go back a year earlier to the infamous Jeff Astle goal at Ellen Road in 71, which probably denied Leeds the title, and even then you're getting decisions that are going against us. So I don't think we've ever had the odd decision. You don't have to get one this season. I'm sure we won't get himself out, but you're just asking for consistency, really.
Yeah. Well, it's been unfortunate. I know when Leeds were in League One, there was a belief among some supporters that the league didn't want them to come out of it because of the financial impact they were having on other clubs, the amount of money that other clubs were getting from league supporters and that. And I don't believe that there's anything in it. But if you look back over the history of Leeds United and look at the decisions that has gone against them, then if you were cynical enough, you might begin to believe that.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Well, look, yes, go on.
Oh no, carry on, Jimmy.
No, I'm just saying overall we're a proud bunch of supporters, and you only see Manchester United supporters come out, when things are going good. We've suffered and we've come out and supported the team, and I'm getting a lot of flack at the moment actually for being a supporter, but there's quite a few in Castlebar in the town. There are quite a few Leeds United supporters.
Yeah, there is quite a few around the place. All right, we were, it was. Growing up in a red and blue town when I was younger, like in those me and Barry.
It's still the same, Karen. And the strange thing about it, the connection that we have with Glasgow Celtic, there's very few Glasgow Celtic supporters around. I only know about a half dozen people. Jesus. Right. I've been to see Glasgow, but it's a long time now since it was Nellen Road, and I fully intend to go over. I've never seen, other than a photograph of the brick.
Yeah.
Did you see it? Did you?
Yeah, Barry, we went and found it last time Barry was over.
Yeah, he sent me a photograph of it.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next segment. We'll just have a quick chat about Wolves. Just bear with me a moment.
I'm a Statman.
So this is where this is going to be a new segment. So we're going to get Andrew on here to just give us a few stats and facts about the upcoming Wolves game. We'll have a quick chat about the next referee, and we'll go from there then. Do you take it away there?
Before you do go over to him, I'll tell you something. He's got a fantastic knowledge.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's unrivaled nearly.
Definitely.
The thing, yeah. So, take it away there, Statsman. Give us a bit of a rundown to look forward to.
I say look forward to. We've lost the last 5 against Wolves. The last victory was a 2-1 home victory in April 2016. Sol Bamba and Tuamani Diagaraga got the goals. Stuart Dallas needs a goal in the month of October. I keep pointing this one out to score in every calendar month for Leeds United, because of course he scored in June of 2020 against Luton and July 2020 against Charlton Athletic. Matthias Klick will reach 150 on Saturday. He is the 104th player in our history to do so. Jack Harrison will move on to 130 appearances, or whether they are picked for the team against Wolves on Saturday. Obviously, it depends on Rafinha and Dan James. Our last 3:00 victory at home to Wolves came on August the 5th, on August 2005, should I say, 2-0 victory. Eddie Lewis and Rob Hulse got the goals. Adam Forshaw, he's going to be up to 56th appearance. Amazing, as ever, Forshaw has been so lucky with injuries. And he'll go ahead of Nigel Worthington, Northern Irishman, and Ben Parker. And we're also looking for our first victory in the Premier League against Wolves. It's a 4-1 victory against the men from Molineux in February, I think February the 10th, 2004. That down to my head goal scorers. Alan Smith got one, Don Matteo got one, James Milner and Mark Viduka got one. So, yeah, we need that second victory of the season. Obviously looking to get back-to-back home victories in the league for the first time this season as well, and first time since last season. So, yeah, when we beat Tottenham and West Brom, of course, Wolves rivals from the Black Country. So, yeah, plenty to go on, and hopefully we can get that second victory of the season.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah, getting away from Leeds United, just a quick question for yourself. How's United doing tonight, Man United?
They're losing at home to Atalanta.
Yeah.
Excellent. Great question, Jimmy. Great question.
That question is right. Well, I thought I'd catch him out, but
there you go. He's too quick for that. Stats, who's reffing the game now on Saturday?
I believe it's Rob Jones. He's reffing the game. Okay. Alan Road on Saturday. I don't know too much about it. I'm guessing Jimmy will know a bit more.
He's not
than I do.
A bad referee. He's fairly agile. He gets around, and he's a no-nonsense referee. He won't take any lip from either side. He has a little tendency to lean a little bit. No, he doesn't. When I say this, I'm not being negative towards him, but he has a tendency to lean towards the home side a little bit in these games. I've noticed that.
So keep that in mind, Jimmy.
Yeah, whether he does it or not for us, we don't know. But he has. I've noticed that about. But he is a good referee. You know, he is. What would you rate as a top referee in the Premiership at the moment?
Great question. Michael Oliver. I think he's still refereeing. I think he's one of the top referees.
Who?
Michael Oliver. Is he still refereeing?
No.
Has he retired? Mike Dean. Everyone says Mike Dean because it's the Mike Dean show, but he's experienced, isn't he?
Mike Dean. You know, that's why he never made it in UEFA or FIFA, because he has the ability to, you know, be the centre of attraction when it comes to a game. A referee should never be the centre of attraction. You know, if you pick up the papers, you know, the day after a game, and you look, and there's a big paragraph about the referee, then he's done a horrid job. Yeah. If the referee doesn't get a mention, he's been absolutely brilliant. Now, that rarely happens. But I've seen Anthony Taylor, for me, you know, Anthony Taylor is one of the best around in that, and he rarely ever gets bad press. Now, he's made one or two mistakes, but human error, you know, we all accept that. But for me, he's one of the best referees, and I like to see him out. Yes, go on, sorry.
When I was growing up, all those years ago, you had the likes of Philip Don, who I think refereed the Cup final in '92. Gerald Ashby, God rest his soul, I think passed away 20 years ago. Martin Bodnam, another excellent referee.
Yeah, he was indeed.
You had your real top referees, Roger Gifford, Roger Milford were top referees. The one from Sheffield, and I've forgotten his name, he sent off Tony Gale in the FA Cup semi-final in '91. Keith, I can't remember his surname. No, one from Sheffield, and I can't remember his name on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember his
Keith Hackett.
That's him, Keith Hackett. I thought he was an excellent referee, but they don't make them like they did.
What about the Irishman, Dermot Gallagher?
Dermot Gallagher, yeah.
It's Dermot Gallagher, man. Like when you watch him on Sky Sports, you wouldn't tell he's from Ireland at all. Like,
no, you wouldn't.
Well, actually, I know Dermot Gallagher fairly well. I've been in his company on a few occasions. Yeah. My eldest brother, Martin, lives in Slough, and he's very friendly with Dermot Gallagher. Actually, I met Graham Paul. Excuse me. I met Graham Paul in Slough Town when they were in the Vauxhall Conference League. He went on to be a good Premiership referee. He was unfortunate that he came across one of ours as his assistant in the World Cup some years ago. He gave two yellow cards to a player, and when it was brought to his attention, he didn't like it. But he didn't give 2 yellow cards, and he was taken off the panel, which I thought was very wrong because he was under an awful lot of pressure that day. I always liked it.
There's been a second goal at Old Trafford. Man United 0, Atlanta 2.
Come on. Atlanta were good money on that today, on that win. They were good money on that.
Well, listen, if you have any contacts, or you know anyone, if there's a job going tomorrow morning as manager, I'd be
on the plane.
He's in trouble. He's in trouble.
Jimmy, do you want to give us a prediction? So we'll start taking a prediction off you for the next game. Now, I personally don't give a prediction myself. I'm a bit superstitious about it. Like so,
a couple of weeks back, I was out at the cup final out in Milebush. You know Milebush, our junior stadium, and one of the assistant referees threatened to sue me, and he says, if I don't pay the bill in the bank, he owes money to the bank. He listens to the radio station that I work on. He says the predictions that I've been given has cost him an absolute So if I don't go in and pay the bank, he'll be taking legal action against me.
That's brilliant.
Look, I'm going to stick my neck out. They're going to win it.
Yeah. What score are you going with, Jimmy?
I'll go for 2-0. I think if all players, well, Bamford won't be, but if Rafinha is back, he's a one-man band. It takes two players to watch him. So, it will kind of, how would I put it? Wolves are a very, very good side. But, no matter how good you are, if you have two players watching a striker of the caliber of Rafinha, it diminishes their ability to defend properly, and that's what's going to happen. I think Rafinha, he may not score, but he certainly will be involved so much that I think Leeds will win it.
He'll cause trouble. I think
he'll cause trouble. He'll take two players to watch him, and he will. Yeah. No matter who he's up against, I don't think the lad knows his own ability. He's been absolutely brilliant. The only problem I have is that will he be gone next summer?
This is the other side of the coin, but look how much he's progressed under Bielsa for a year. You know what I mean?
If you look at some of the under 23 players that's coming through, and 21 players, look at some of those lads that's coming through. If we can stay in the Premiership, which I think we will, I don't think there's any doubt. But if we keep progressing the ways we're going, Leeds are going to be awesome because they have an academy that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
that's what's all about.
Well, they walked that Premier League under 23 league last year. They I know that what did they finished a couple of points ahead, but the way they demolished teams in games was ridiculous.
Well, for me, what's the point in having a team like that, or an academy and not bringing players through into the senior squad? Creswell, for me, his first game, I know it's a cup game, but he really stood out as a defender in waiting to take over from any of the top players. Yeah. So we have Gerhardt, is that what you call him? He's another player that's a young lad. He's only learning his straight. Another player that certainly we can look forward to in the next season or so, getting into the full squad.
We've got that young Dutch lad as well, Somerville. He looks
very, very good. Yeah, he looks a good lad.
Yeah.
So the future looks good for us.
Yeah, I think
I'll go for a 2-0 win.
2-0 Leeds victory. Sound. We'll get that in the group chat down and get you added to the league table, Jimmy. Stats, you've already given yours, have you?
No, it's a hard one to predict. Quickly, me. We're coming up to 600 consecutive games that will have named an Academy's player in our matchday squad. The last time we did it was December the 15th, 2009 against Accrington Stanley in the JPT. So that's a fantastic record. I think Man United's record just goes back years and years and years. As for the game, it's a really hard one to call. Wolves come into the game on the back of an excellent victory at Villa Park from 2-0 down, come into confidence. It's got to click for Leeds. I know I've had injuries. It's just got to click somehow. We won against Watford. We thought we were going to take the Southampton game. I'll go 1-0 Leeds. I'm going to be confident. I want to be positive. I'll go 1-0 Leeds, Rafinha. Job done.
1-0 Leeds, Rafinha. Oh, he's even given a scorer. That'll do. I'll get that sorted. Right, brilliant stuff. So, Jimmy, we'll see you again next week for your own.
Looking forward to whenever you want me. I'm available and that. And absolutely, it's delight and pleasure to meet the Statman himself.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely brilliant. And I wasn't surprised that he got the Man United Atlanta.
That's exactly it.
Was he cheating? Was he looking at his phone, or does he have to tell you?
I'm getting updates off my mates. Yes, I have it in front of me. I'll own up to that one. Yeah, I think
Take care, lads.
in a bit of trouble, but hey.
No harm. Let them off.
You take care.
They deserve it all. Take care, Jimmy. We catch you later.
Stats.
Bye. Thanks a million, buddy. I'll catch you again soon, bud.
Same place.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us, folks.
Cheers, buddy.
See you later.
All good? Is he gone? He's gone.